welcome to my tutorial. My name is Nathaniel Seymour. I graduated Animation Mentor back in 2009, and needless to say, since then the curriculum and the rigs have come a pretty long way, so it's always nice to work with them once again. And what we're going to do right now is great overlap and follow through in movement. And what that is basically a good example would be this right here, actually, because this is from a watch I never used, and we're going to be you'll be seeing there's a bird. There's everything animated except the tail. So when it moves, it's going to move maybe a little bit like this, or maybe a little bit like this. It all depends on the animal, but I think in this case a little bit like this. So whenever it's moving this way and also moving that way. So it definitely helps to just keep a few things around the desk for very quick reference like this right here. I mean, unless you want to be a little bit more persuasive, this is usually how you would do an overlap. Like in the beginners classes back in AM during my term, we just have it go this way or that way or whatever. And there is a little bit of that in this tutorial also, but basically you sort of mix the two. It's good to have different types of reference. You can combine them. So, to introduce myself a little bit, and if you've seen the animal animation tutorial I've already done, I apologize in advance for repeating myself, but for those who haven't seen it, I'm a 3D animator / visualization artist, and most of the visualization I've done has been for movies, and overall 3D animation has been mixed. The first 3D animation I've done on a major project was Turn Me On by Nicki Minaj, as you'll see right there. And also on the VR, Monkey King, I would basically the way I would sum it up, Monkey King I did most of the previs, most of the camera work, and some of the animation. And of all these, I think probably what I had most fun working on was Pokemon Detective Pikachu. And that was, I mean, just had a lot of artistic freedom, lots of interesting creatures, and also another one that recently came out, Lilo and Stitch, that was cool, and one that came out a little bit ago, Lyle Lyle Crocodile, that was also a lot of fun. So it's been a lot of different ones. It's really hard ranking one above any other ones, but I would really have to say Pokemon. That's the one. The one character I had the most fun animating was the Morlulls, and that's maybe one out of who knows how many thousand when it comes to Pokemon. But those are the ones that look kind of like jellyfish, like something out of a Super Mario game. They have two huge oval-shaped black eyes and two umbrellas up above and three tentacles down below. And we had very, very little reference as far as how they were supposed to move. I was working on that scene where Pikachu is unconscious or dead, whatever he was, coming out of the water, and then they take him to this sacred spot. The Morlulls are flying everywhere, and then a bunch of them float down and circle around him and bring him back. That's what I was working on. So that was, yeah, that was the most fun I'd have working with a character, and also the people made a huge difference too, because I had a really cool team. So anyways, what we're going to be focusing on with this tutorial is going to be basic physics, and once again, that's also demonstrated very clearly with this right here, you know, because you'll see when you see the bird, his tail is very much kind of like this, the way it's shaped, and then, of course, overall timing, that's always something I focus on. And as far as keyframe shifting, you'll see what that is later on. But of course, to make this official, first I have to make sure my eyes are nice and protected. So now we're going to go into Maya, which I have open right here. And here is the bird, and I've modeled a very, very rough-looking tree stump, and he's basically taking something and eating out of it. You'll see what he's doing right here. And just like I said before, everything is animated except for the tail. So we're going to get started with this. And what I've actually been doing is selecting all of these controls right here, but this one, right at the base, I use it to mostly for the direction, whichever the way the tail is actually pointing. And you'll see what I'm talking about. So what we're going to do is select all of these controls. And once all these are selected, it's actually really beneficial because you're able to rotate the whole thing a lot easier. It's a lot easier to get started. Because that's been really my experience with animation. The hardest part is getting started. Even if you have something really horrible, at least you have something to work with. So it definitely makes a difference. So right now, like with his first move, he's doing something very, very subtle, just turning over here. So what the tail is going to be doing is it probably just resting a little bit like that. As far as what this one's doing, which direction it's going, since he's going this way, so is the tail. Going this way just a little bit, like here. So. And then, this is pretty much the anticipation part right here. So once again, the tail is moving very, very subtle, and I think right now it's going to be just moving up a little bit, like that. And then we can select all the rest of the controls and focus on the rotation, and if it's settling like that, I think it's still moving just a little bit like that. And then, that's when he gets a little bit curious. And so I think I'll have the tail, since it's already settled a little bit, I think I'll actually have it sort of bounce up a little bit, just a tad. Right until he actually goes in for the munch, let's just call it, when he gets the whatever it is he's getting out of the tree. Right. When he goes in, that's when what I'm going to do first is like these and have them pretty much go out straight like this. And then make sure it's pointing the right way. What I'll actually do is take this and rotate over this way just a little bit. And then take this one down a little bit too, so when he's actually going in, you can see the difference right here. Kind of like you would with this. I mean, it's a lot harder to tell with this, but when it goes in, it's very, very brief, but you'll notice how it sort of straightens out a little bit as it moves. And so then it settles, let's say, let's give it like 4 frames to do that. Excuse me, never mind. I didn't have all those selected. So, let's see how that looks. All right, looks pretty good. And then, right before he comes out, since it's it's a lot slower this time, so I think it actually might even have 2 more frames to settle in just a little bit more. And a couple frames does make a difference. So just a little bit. Matter of fact, I think I'll actually have it going out a little bit, like that. Because, yeah, right, the main reason I have it going out a little bit is because it's going to be going in as he goes back. It's going to sort of scrunch up like that. Okay. Okay. And then it settles back. I think I'll give it about, maybe about, 5 frames for that. And then he does his final little turn right here. So I think I'll just have it, once again, settle a little bit. Have this one go down a little bit. And then he makes his turn. That takes about maybe 4 or 5 frames. And so, let's see, just remind myself what I have selected. I have there we go. And once again, since he is going this way, so is the tail. See if I got that right. Well, actually, no, I don't think I did. I think I was thinking in reverse. Let's see how that looks. Something else I can't forget is the the directional control right here. And aside from rotating from the top view, I think I'll also have it sort of expanding a little bit while it does that. And these last frames are strictly, once again, just relaxing. In this case, moving up a little bit. And maybe just moving a little bit this way. So let's see how let's see how it looks right now. We can go to full frame. Go. Yeah, I was way too extreme with my overhead rotation when he does his turn. So here, let me fix that. And that thing it just did when it switched to the vertexes and everything, that's one of the bugs, obviously. We got birds and we got bugs. So, as they say, no software is bug-free, so right-click and change to object mode if that ever happens, and that should fix the problem. So I think the problem was me rotating it too much from the top and not moving this over enough. The directional control. So just adjust this a little bit. And maybe even move a little bit over here. Let's see how it looks now. Still not looking quite right. So I think what I'm going to do is rearrange the frames. Yeah, I think this one could actually start one frame earlier. So he's already done with his move right about here, so I think this could go about here. Okay, let's see how that looks. There we go, a lot better. Voila. I really have to say, I mean, I was talking about the AM rigs, how far they've come since I've graduated, and this one, I really am sad I didn't have a chance to work with them when I was going here, but, you know, better late than never, because this is one that really sort of jumps out. I mean, this one and the, what's called the blip. Those two, those are just characters, you look at them and you can't wait to see them come to life. And yeah, the bird ball is also a pretty catchy name also. And the funny thing is, you see the preview, you don't really see how long the legs are, and then you see the whole thing, and it just, once again, you just get so many ideas instantly. At least that's how it was with me. And this is the kind of thing you learn in the basics classes and everything, you know, basic overlap and but you definitely it definitely enhances the overall process if you're that much more enthusiastic about the character, which I definitely was about this bad boy right here. So now we come to the part of the title which involves the shifting. So right now we have the whole thing selected, and we're just going to select right now the actually, well, since this control right here was not really moving alongside, so to speak, the rest of the controls, I'm just going to select the four here, these four controls without this fifth one right here, and I'll show you what I mean. Because usually you would select all these and then deselect this one, shift the rest of them, deselect this one and shift the rest of those, and so on and so on. So that's what we're going to start with. So right now, deselecting this one, We're going to take the rest of these, and usually I move the cursor to one of these frames so I can see how far we're moving. We're just going to move the rest of these over one. And then same deal the whole way back. Deselect this one, and then move these one more, and then deselect this one. Then naturally move this one back. Let's see how it looks now. So we can go full frame again. Right. Nothing else is a good start, I think. A little bit of wobbliness I could take care of, but let me see. I think most of the... Oops. Most of the wobbliness happens right about... Let's see... What if we did that? I wonder how that looks. Yeah, I think it looks better already. Yeah, going over all these, and one thing you can do with your tangents is make sure that they all are at an angle. And like, for example, this right here, this can even be adjusted so that the flow is that much smoother. Because one thing you don't want your tangents to do is to go flat. That only happens when characters are dead, and usually dead characters are not very animated, so this was actually mentioned to me by a DreamWorks animator that I was visiting once. So yeah, this little area right here was going semi-flat. It's not going all the way flat, but it's semi-flat. But right here, I'm just sort of using this as the example right now. But definitely, you'll notice a difference. This one I think I've already done. I think I might have done well. Yeah, I think I did that one too. So let's check this out again. All right. This actually reminds me of a classic Disney character I once saw where there's a bird in a cage and you think the cage is on a really tall stand, but it turns out this stand is actually the bird's legs, and you find that out when the bird walks away. That always cracked me up when I was a kid. And that's one of the beauty parts about this, you know, especially when getting a new rig. Like every new rig I've had a chance to download for each of these tutorials, it's been like unwrapping a new toy. And it's just, once again, you know, the way the rigs are designed, it just really amps up the enthusiasm, I think. And movies like Toy Story and what have you, they have no effect on animators. They might make other people sad because they have to let go of their toys, but animators, nope, we hold on to ours because we don't want to be a chicken. There we go. And if you want to get a little bit more advanced with your toys, then you can really, I mean, you might notice the shirt I'm wearing, you can really geek out with these kind of things. Nope. Well, that wasn't too loud. And I think we've pretty much covered just about all we're going to for this tutorial right here. And we definitely thank you for watching along. And for anyone who's in Animation Mentors, I hope you're enjoying yourselves, and hopefully you were able to learn a few things from this. And whoever's thinking about it, I would definitely recommend it, because really 90% of what I know about animation I learned from Animation Mentor. And it's really been a big help, and thankfully you can also keep in touch with people over the years, because one mentor in particular and I have become really good friends, and so whenever I'm doing a personal project or something, I can send it over to him, and we've actually worked on a few projects together, and it's a good way to network and just a good way to just, you know, enhance what you know and really help yourself keep growing as an artist. And but I think that's about all. In the words of Forrest Gump, I think that's about all I have to say about that. So thank you once again for watching, and just remember, just keep having fun with what you're doing. And it's Definitely a nice way to sort of visualize what's been on your mind and have it perfected by everybody else in your class, because that happened with me quite a bit. Sets of fresh eyes work wonders, and whenever it's just you looking at it, you can only go so far, but then when the rest of the class does, it can really help you make it all that it can be. So that's totally what I recommend, and once again, thank you for watching, and enjoy whatever it is you're working on. See you next time.